Listening, fill in the blanks.
Let's start.
Unlike the minerals and oil used to make plastics and metals, trees are replaceable. Paper is also biodegradable, so it does not pose as much threat to the environment when it is discarded. While 45 out of every 100 tons of the wood fiber used to make paper in Australia comes from waste paper, the rest comes directly from virgin fiber from forests and plantations. By world standards, this is a good performance since the worldwide average is 33% waste paper. Governments have encouraged waste paper collection and sorting schemes, and at the same time, the paper industry has responded by developing new recycling technologies that have paved the way for even greater utilization of used fiber. As a result, the industry's use of recycled fibers is expected to increase at twice the rate of virgin fiber over the coming years.
In any event, there can be no doubt that the era of the rock climber as a lone wolf or intrepid pioneer is over. Like many other forms of recreation, rock climbing has increasingly come under the fold of institutional efforts to curb dangerous behavior and properly manage our natural environments. This may have spoiled the magic, but it has also made the sport safer and more sustainable, and governing bodies would do well to consider heightening such efforts in the future.
Sperancha Narandabanda vividly recalls the night she was unceremoniously turned into a foster parent by soldiers, who brought her 5 children into sacks of maize. They came knocking at her door in the town of Gitarama, as the civil war in Rwanda was winding down. Narandabanda, a 34-year-old schoolteacher, nervously opened the door and immediately recognized the smiling faces before her. "I have brought you, children," one of the soldiers told Narandabanda this time. "I will see you later." The maize the soldiers left behind did not last very long, and they never came back. Narandabanda is still caring for the children. She says she will gladly keep them so long as she receives some assistance.
Even more confounding than Manet's relaxed attention to detail, however, is the relationship in the painting between the activity in the mirrored reflection and that which we see in the unreflected foreground. In a similar vein to Diego Velázquez's much earlier work Las Meninas, Manet uses the mirror to toy with our ideas about which details are true to life and which are not. In the foreground, for example, the barmaid is positioned upright, her face betraying an expression of lonely detachment, yet in the mirrored reflection she appears to be leaning forward and to the side, apparently engaging in conversation with her mustachioed customer. As a result of this, the customer's stance is also altered. In the mirror, he should be blocked from view as a result of where the barmaid is standing, yet Manet has repositioned him to the side. The overall impact on the viewer is one of a dreamlike disjuncture between reality and illusion.
The latest conservation management plan for the panda, prepared by China's Ministry of Forestry and the Worldwide Fund for Nature, aims primarily to maintain panda habitats and to ensure that populations are linked wherever possible. The plan will change some existing reserve boundaries, establish 14 new reserves, and protect or replant corridors of forest between panda islands. Other measures include better control of poaching, which remains a problem despite strict laws, as panda skins fetch high prices, reducing the degradation of habitats outside reserves, and reforestation.
So the typewriter was not a new idea, although there had not been a successful realization of the idea before Christopher Scholl's machine. His typewriter became very popular, and soon people learned to type very quickly, so quickly, in fact, that the keys became tangled. On manual typewriters, the characters were set on the end of bars, which rose to strike the paper when the key was pressed. In the first models, the keys were set alphabetically. When a quick typist tapped out a word like federal, it was very likely the adjacent E and D keys would become entangled.
Adjustments to the direction of the tunnel also had to be made whenever builders encountered geological problems or when it deviated from its set path. They constantly checked the tunnel's advancing direction, for example, by looking back at the light that penetrated through the tunnel mouth, and made corrections whenever necessary. Large deviations could happen, and they could result in one end of the tunnel not being usable. An inscription written on the side of a 428-meter tunnel, built by the Romans as part of the Salde aqueduct system in modern-day Algeria, describes how the two teams of builders missed each other in the mountain and how the later construction of a lateral link between both corridors corrected the initial error.
Students who graduate with the International Hotel Management Diploma are assured of a further year of degree study at the University of the Antipodes. Studies will focus on such areas as global marketing, strategic management, total quality management, cross-cultural communications, developing organizations and management of change, global development in hospitality and tourism, intercultural relations. Under certain circumstances, the final year of study can be conducted on a part-time basis and by distance education mode, enabling students to study while maintaining a full-time career in the hospitality industry, either here or in their home country.
Off campus, there are many flats, townhouses and houses for rent in the local area. These can be found by looking in the local newspaper, under accommodation, or by checking notices pinned up on the boards around the university. There are always students advertising for housemates, and you can even add a notice of your own to the board. However, even sharing accommodation with others can be expensive. Tenants are usually required to pay a rental bond, rent in advance, and telephone, electricity, gas bills in addition to food bills. Be sure that you know what you will be required to pay before you enter into any written agreement.
He was born in Hanover in Germany in 1738, left the German army in 1757, and arrived in England the same year with no money, but quite exceptional music ability. He played the violin and oboe and at one time was organist in the Octagon Chapel in the city of Bath. Herschel's was an active mind, and deep inside he was conscious that music was not his destiny. He, therefore, read widely in science and the arts. But not until 1772 did he come across a book on astronomy. He was then 34, middle-aged by the standards of the time. But without hesitation he embarked on his new career, financing it by his professional work as a musician. He spent years mastering the art of telescope construction, and even by present-day standards, his instruments are comparable with the best.
Like, share, subscribe the channel, and press the bell icon for further updates.